calling together all amateur radio operators. This is the weekly net of the M17 Project. I'm Ed, November 2, X-Ray Delta Delta, and I will be your net control station today. This net meets weekly on Fridays at 1700 hours UTC by means of the M17 Charlie Reflector. The purpose of this net is to relay and share information in regards to the M17 Project. M17 is a new digital radio protocol in development as an alternative to those currently available with freedom in mind. Freedom in the code, protocol, voice codecs, and hardware. The goal is to provide a better option for digital radios in the future. We encourage all licensed amateur radio operators to check into this net. We will take check-ins followed by an informal roundtable to discuss all things M17 related. When checking into the net, please key your push-to-talk device and then wait approximately 2 seconds before speaking. Also try and keep your check-ins under 3 minutes. This keeps everything running smoothly for the network. I will now stand by for check-ins. Please give me your call sign using proper ITU phonetics, followed by your name and location, and if you have any information for the net.
This is Kilo Charlie 1, Alpha Whiskey Victor, KC1AWV, Steve, in Boston, Massachusetts. No traffic.
Sierra Papa 5, Whiskey Papa, Wojciech from Warsaw, Poland. I'm using Droid Star right now. No traffic today.
November 8, Victor, November Romeo, Kevin in North Carolina, Droid Star, no traffic.
And this is Kilo Alpha 6, Victor, Juliet, India. My name is Manny from Los Angeles.
November 7, Tango Alpha Edward, N17AE. No traffic in Tom in Arizona.
Kilo Delta 2, Uniform Quebec Kilo, KD2, UQK, Rob, in Long Island, New York, on Envoice.
Hello Net, this is AA4HS, Alpha 4, Hotel Sierra. I'm Maitland in Alexandria, Virginia, on Droid Star. No traffic.
Net control, this is KC2DBJ. The name is Jim. I'm Droid Star from Western New York. No traffic.
This is Golf 4 Kilo Lima X-Ray, name of Jonathan, located in near a small town called Crawley, just south of London, which is a horrible place really. Using Dude Star on my nice new Pi 4, it's working well. A little bit of traffic, probably this weekend, maybe even tonight. I'm going to start developing a piece of software which I'll probably call M17 Client, which will plug into an MMDVM hat, running the correct firmware for M17, to use it as an M17 radio, either as a hotspot or a normal radio attached to the back end. And the idea being that probably run on a Pi, and it will have different sort of front ends, including a GUI front end, a bit like Dude Star, and hopefully somebody might come along and do a front end based on touchscreen and GPIO pins, which could potentially be used mobile. That's the idea anyway.
This is Kilo 9, Foxtrot Hotel, Phil, near Chicago, using Droid Star, no traffic.
Kilo Mike 6, Lima Golf November, it's KM6LGN, name's Scott from San Francisco Bay Area, no traffic.
This is India Uniform 2 Kilo India November. The name is Nicola, operating from Milan, Italy. I have some traffic.
Okay, guys, let's hold it up right there. Net Control wishes to recognize Steve KC1AWV, Wojciech SP5 Whiskey Papa, Kevin in North Carolina, N8VNR, Manny. I think you said you're joining us from LA. I think you're a new check-in. Welcome, I missed your call sign, KA6VJI, but I think I got that wrong. No, KA6VJI is right. Tom, N7TAE, thanks for joining us again. Rob, KD2UQK. Maitland from Virginia, AA4HS. Jim, KC2DPJ, welcome. Jonathan, K4KLX, I know you had some traffic and you gave us some of it. We'll turn it back over to you in a little bit if you want to clarify anything. Phil, K9FH, thank you for joining us. Scott, KM6LGN, welcome. And Nico, IU2KIN with a little bit of traffic. Did I miss anybody, or do we have any late check-ins? Please call now.
This is Kilo 1 Uniform Hotel, Greg in New Jersey, USA. No traffic, first time joining.
Kilo 5, Tango, Uniform X-Ray, Russ, Southwest Missouri. Checking in using DudeStar on Linux, of course. No traffic today for the net.
All right, Net Control wishes to recognize K1UH, Greg. Thank you for joining us here today. Welcome to the party. Russ, K52X, thank you again. Anybody else with any check-ins?
India Uniform 2 Kilo Whiskey Oscar. Silvano from Milan, Italy.
IU2 KWO. Welcome, Solano. Nice to have you back here with us today. Once again, this is the M17 Weekly Net. I am N2XDD. I'm your net control station. Before we go down the log with traffic, anybody else have any late check-ins? Okay, net control. Jonathan, I'm going to turn it over to you. Maybe you can just give us a quick recap on that, real quick. G4KLX on the M17 client that you plan on working on sometime this weekend or maybe next week. K4GLX to get it. This is N2XDD.
A 4 Kilo Lima X-Ray. Yeah, sorry, I'm probably getting too much details in the check. Now, the idea being that we've already potentially can create M17 using MMDVMs, as you probably know, either on a hotspot or via an external radio that's got a suitable inputs like a 9600 baud packet connector. My thinking is that some sort of program running on, say, a Pi would be very good, so that you could use that to, well, convert it into a radio instead of being a repeater. It's used as a radio, because obviously it has all the codec on it. But my thinking is that there'll be two parts to it. There'll be a back-end part that does the hard work, voice translation, call sign additions, and all the good stuff. And the control side of it would, for example, would have maybe a normal GUI, not dissimilar, for example, to DudeStar, which I'm using now. But there would also be the option to replace that front end with another front end that would be more suitable for use in mobile, that would, instead of having a nice big screen on HDMI, would instead possibly drive something like a touch screen like an Mexican, and would have inputs for PTT and things like that, so that it could be converted into a mobile or base station for that matter. So that's the idea behind it anyway. That would at least allow potential people to, for example, check into that use as the M17 radio is something else pretty bit of interesting on network, maybe in the MMD. I don't know. Anything beyond it anyway. I did actually put a block diagram on the list a couple of times for the last 24 hours, so you can see what I think it looks like, a little hand-drawn diagram. So that's what I'm going to plan on doing. Not next week, and I'm actually away for a few days, but potentially start maybe this evening or this weekend and work on it until it's working, hopefully, on G4KLX.
Okay, Jonathan, thank you for that. Unfortunately, we're losing like every third or fourth syllable there, so you definitely had some packet loss. Not really sure what was going on there, but we got it, the gist of it for the most part, and we appreciate your work there on the client. Does anybody have any questions or comments for Jonathan, G4KLX, CallNet Control Now, and 2XDD? Okay, hearing nothing, we're going to move down the list of traffic here. We're going to turn it over to Nico, IU2KIN. He's a member of the OpenRTX team. Nico?
Yeah, India Uniform 2 Kilo India November here. So, first of all, thank you, Jonathan, for putting effort into developing the M17 part of MMDVM. That's very good. I have a repeater board set up here, and I for sure be one of the first to test it out. But moving on to that, I want to give part of the updates for the Open RTX related part. Maybe I will leave some of those also to Silvano. So we are moving on with the development of the M17 transmission capabilities, and we did complete a major step. Silvano did complete a major step that we needed, which is basically the reorganization of all the code which handles the transmission. This is because we already achieved a proof of concept of transmission of a pre-processed beacon, and what we want to do now is the support. So we want something which is not a demo, without the screen, and we want something which can be readily extended into a complete M17 support. So hopefully in the upcoming weeks we will have something to share for the community to test. And also another small update. I tried at the beginning of last week to put up M17 to either DMR or analog bridge to be able to access the existing M17 reflectors with my current radios. And I found I'm using a Raspberry Pi 400 which is Raspberry Pi 4 in the form factor of a keyboard, and I discovered that DMR2 M17, which uses basically the MD3AD vocoder to transcode between AMBE and codec 2, crashes on that platform. So I wanted to ask if anybody in the net has ever tried to run that software on Raspberry Pi 4. And also I tried USRP 2 M17, but I'm having a bit of troubles to have the MMDVM recognize an incoming analog signal, but I will continue the debugging on that side. So back to net control.
Nico, thank you very much for that update, and I'd like to thank you and Silvano and the rest of the guys that have been working so hard on the OpenRTX project to get a M17 implementation running. So we definitely really appreciate your hard work, and looking forward to seeing this final product. And if anybody's not familiar with the OpenRTX project, they can be found at openrtx.org. And plenty of great information over there, so you guys might want to check them out. Once again, this is N2XDD Net Control Station for the M17 Weekly Net. Do anybody with any questions or comments in regards to the news from the OpenRTX project? Okay. Hearing nothing, do we have any late check-ins or anybody else with any questions or comments? Please call Net Control.
Victor Echo 3, Mike, India, Charlie.
VE3MIC. Looks like that's Mike up in Ontario, Canada. Welcome here to the net. I'm going to toss it back over to you real quick. Did you have any questions or comments? And if not, if you can just tell me which method you came into the M17 net with tonight. VE3MIC and 2XDD.
Very good. Net Control, this is VE3MIC, and I'm running the Allstar app for Windows and, of course, M17. I did have one question, and it may have been answered before, so I apologize if it had been. I'm just wondering if there's a dashboard for M17 yet, and if there is, how would I find it? VE3MIC, back to net.
Thank you very much for that question there. And we're going to turn it over to Steve. He's our dashboard extraordinaire. And, nobody's thrown him under the bus in a couple of weeks, so I'm going to put him on the spot. Steve, KC1AWV, do you mind sharing the information on the URL for the dashboard?
All right, so go ahead and throw me under that bus, but no, that's not a problem. The Reflector dashboard for this reflector is posted into the chat, so it's ref.m17.link, and you can go ahead and see everybody that's currently logged in. Well, at least you're going to be able to see, you know, the people that are logged in using a client. I'm coming through a repeater, so you'll see the repeater call sign, which just happens to be mine as well. So, yeah, that's each reflector has its own dashboard, just like any other XLX reflector. You know, it is basically a fork of XLX, so a very similar dashboard. But since I have the mic, I'm just going to go ahead and give a quick update myself. This week seems to have been a wash for me. Things here at the office have been extremely busy, and I haven't been able to really hunker down and continue any development personally. But as things kind of cool off here at the office, I'll be able to focus a little bit more on the project and get a few more things taken care of. And with that, I'm actually going to go ahead and switch over to lunch. So I'm going to pass it back over to Net Control. This is KC1AWV.
Steve, thank you for that. And Mike, VE3MIC, does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. Thank you very much for that. And again, I apologize if it's been answered previously. I tuned in late, and I try to tune in every Friday. I have a calendar reminder set up so that I can remember this net taking place at this time. So thanks again for everyone, and especially those that are directly involved with the project. Thanks for all your efforts and your hard work. 7-3 from VE3MIC.
Hi, Mike. Thanks again for checking in, and no problem. If you have any other questions, please feel free to jump in here or come visit us on IRC or Discord or Matrix. We have a very active group of guys over there, and usually there's somebody around pretty much 24/7. At least one of the team members is floating around on the chat. So feel free to stop by and ask any questions. Also, be sure to check out our website, M17Project.org. This is N2XDD, Net Control Station, for this week's session of the M17 Project Net. Do we have any late check-ins?
Kilo 5, Tango Uniform X-Ray, recheck.
K5TUX. Russ, please go ahead.
Yeah, nothing major here. I just happened to pop onto M-Voice instead of DudeStar for a second and jumped over onto the M17 dashboard and happened to notice that there are a few folks here on the net today that are connected through the AF0SS Linux and the Handshake peer link into the M17 Reflector, which is really cool. I had no idea people were connecting in that way, but there are a few today. So I'm not even sure how people got in through. I guess I've sort of mentioned it in passing a couple of times that the link is there and that the reflector is up, but didn't know anyone was really using it until I checked out the dashboard today. So just thought that was really cool. Thought I'd mention it, and not gonna mention any names, but they're out there. You can check the dashboard if you want to see. Thanks guys for doing it, and love the support of the M17 project here. These guys are doing some great work. Thanks for running that, Ed. Send it back to you. N2XDD, K5TUX.
Hi, Russ. Thank you very much. We appreciate you throwing that reflector up there, and all of your fellow listeners who have joined it and are checking us out here. And that was Russ from the Linux, one of the hosts of the Linux and the Ham Shack podcast, and he does run reflector number 659 on the M17 reflector system. So thank you again for that. We appreciate it. Anybody else with any questions or comments or late check-ins, please call Net Control.
Mike 0, India Echo India. My name, Pedro, in Cambridgeshire, in Ely.
Mike 0, India Echo India. Pedro, thank you very much for joining us this week. Did you have any questions or comments, or are we just checking in? And if it's just a check-in, can you just let me know, if you don't mind, how you're accessing the M17 Charlie Reflector today?
Yes, sure. I'm using Droid Star with a phone, and yes, I have a comment. It's my first time, obviously, here. I've been annoying the guys from OpenRTX with several things, and now that I've heard Jonathan before KLX talking about the new idea of project, just a reflection, something that was in my mind a long time ago, and I discussed. I'm just going to leave the idea floating. If it's okay, perfect. If it's disregarded for any technical reason, I understand, that's okay. Basically, I discussed a long time ago with a friend of mine, Echo Alpha 7 Golf India Bravo, known for designing also MDVMM boards and hotspots and all kind of things. Raspberry Pi is always the most used platform for hotspots and MMDVM, and is lacking one of the, I think, more important things to make an autonomous digital transmitter. It's an analog input. And I really like this other design based on ARM chips. It's the Orange Pi, which is really cheap, really small, and it has analog input and output. And I've made some hats for this star or other things which are really cheap. The main thing is that I discussed with Blas, Alpha 7 Golf India Bravo, if he would be keen in designing an MMDVM hat for that board. And now that Jonathan has said that he's thinking about doing something like, could be used more like a portable MMDVM using the analog input, I think it's a platform, the Orange Pi, to think about. Could be interesting. Just obviously it's not as powerful as the Raspberry Pi 3 or the others, but there are two versions with the same size, and I know someone who would be able to, or especially he's open to design an MMDVM board hat for those things, especially for M17. That's my comment. Sorry for the long comment.
No need to apologize whatsoever, Pedro. Welcome again to the net. We meet here every week at 1700 hours UTC, so please come back and join us. And the Orange Pi is an alternative platform to the Raspberry Pi, and definitely not as powerful as the Raspberry Pi. But you're more than welcome to come join us on IRC or Discord or Matrix. There's links to our sites on the M17Project.org website, and feel free to come into the chat and throw the information out there. I'm sure somebody will be more than happy to jump on board with you and help you with a Pi hat design for the Orange Pi. Does anybody have any questions or comments to Pedro's traffic?
Only to say that this M17 client I'll be writing will not be specific to the Raspberry Pi. I just see it as being the how can I say, the most common platform, but it'll be written to well for Linux. So I would imagine an Orange Pi. I think I do have one somewhere. The Orange Pi should be good enough. I don't think it does not need a Pi 4. I don't think it even needs a Pi 3. But yeah, I know EA7GIB. I almost met him on holiday, but he was away for the time I was in Seville. But he's a clever man, and yeah, they produce some very interesting hardware. I've got many PCBs here for different things. So yes, I'm sure he can design a hat for the Orange Pi from G4KLX.
Okay, Jonathan, thank you for that. And again, Pedro, Jonathan's an active member in our Discord/IRC/Matrix channel. So definitely stop by, come over, and do some collaboration there. It's This is an open source project, and it's a great community here. A lot of very smart and great individuals helping one another for a common goal. So we look forward to seeing you over there. Do we have any other late check-ins? If not, I'm going to go down the line. I missed a couple of people with the device that they used to check in today. So once again, this is N2XDD, Net Control Station. Do we have anybody else that would like to check in, or anybody with any questions or comments? Okay, Tom, N17TAE, are you still with us? If so, can you tell me how you came into the Charlie Reflector today?
I'm still here. M-Voice, M17TAE, back to you.
Very good, Tom. So it's two of you in here today with M-Voice at least. KD2UQK Rob, he's also coming in through M-Voice. Where are we? Manny in Los Angeles, K6VJI. Are you still with us? If so, how did you get into the M17 Charlie Reflector today?
Yes, hello, and I am using DroidStar on a Moto G7, so it seems to work pretty well, and I think you guys are doing a great job. Thank you.
Well, Manny, thank you for checking in with us today. I think you're a first-time check-in, but I might be mistaken. If you are, welcome. Let's go up north of me. We're going to go up to K1UH Greg.
Net Control, this is K1UH. I am connecting using DudeStar on a Windows laptop. First time check-in. I've been following some of the developments on DudeStar and got curious about the M17 support. I like open source software and that, so I have a little interest in it. What else? I was wondering whether this net is available if I connect to a different reflector. For example, if I connect to M17-USA and try Module C, is that copied or bridged together with this group? Over.
Guess whose lunch I'm going to interrupt right now? KC1AWV. Is that up to the individual reflector owners, whether they connect to the net or not, or is anybody connected to the Charlie module connected to the net during that time, Steve?
Well, you actually seem to be touching on a couple of things that I've been trying to, finish developing. But right now, no, the M17 Charlie module is not linked to any other reflectors. But it just so happens to be that you have both USA and M17 reflector owners on this net right now. So I'm sure it would not be any stretch of the imagination for us to be able to link up the two reflectors. However, since there doesn't seem to be any issue with everybody connecting to the one reflector or a repeater that happens to be connected in, the efficacy of that, it's arguable, but we could definitely link up the two without any questions asked there. So, back to Net Control, KC1AWV.
Thank you for the answer there, Steve. Greg, did that answer your question, or do you have any follow-ups?
No follow-ups. That answers the question as far. It seems for me to be the smoothest way to do it is to connect to host M17-17 module C, because I'm not sure if the links have to be pre-established. Just as a single station, it's just going to be easier for me to connect to to the host directly instead of depend on a linking from the reflectors. So thanks for the answer, K1UH, over.
I'm just going to jump in real quick. I do remember that Russ, K4TX, and oh my goodness, I can't remember his call sign off the top of my head. But anyway, M17 659 Charlie and M17 Charlie are linked together. So there is a link established. It's just not with the USA reflector, just between M17 and 659. KC1AWV.
Okay, Steve, thank you for that clarification there. Do we have anybody else with any traffic questions, comments, or late check-ins? Please call N2XDD Net Control. Okay, Mr. Whiskey Papa, Wojciech, do you have any thing you'd like to talk about today?
Hello, guys. I'm really happy that I could hear some new voices today. So welcome to the net. I don't have much to add today. We have sent official request to the heat plant, the site where we are going to set up our repeater in Poland. So we are waiting for the reply. That should take about up to 2 weeks, I think. So we are waiting, and that's it from me today. Back to net control.
Thank you for that, Wojciech. We appreciate the updates. Does anybody else have any questions, comments, or late check-ins or anything else for members of the M17 project? Okay, guys. Looks like another week of the M17 net is going to wrap up, including myself. We had 18 check-ins this afternoon, so really good turnout. We appreciate everybody that took part of your day to come here and join us. All right. I want to thank all those stations that checked in today for participating and supporting the net. Your help in maintaining this net is appreciated by one and all. This is Ed, November 2, X-Ray Delta Delta, and the net is now secure at 17:38 hours UTC. 7-3 and enjoy the weekend.
Time to go get some donuts.